Hi there, YouTube. Some have argued, atheists, mind you, that some people need religion and are more prone to believing in fairy tales like the Christian God because they're suffering and because their life is shit and because they're weak of mind and whatnot. So that I have to say that if your mind is so weak that you need a fairy tale to believe in to get by in your everyday life, what you really need is therapy. When I was about 15 years old and looked upon how Christians here in Denmark were acting, there were different kinds of TV shows and TV broadcasts about Christianity at that time, as there is today, of course. And I listened to what these Christians said about believing in God and why they believed in God and why it was good and why they wanted to proselytize and why they wanted everybody to believe in God. And I was just sitting there, 15 years old, thinking, religion is nothing but a mental crutch. You don't need that crutch. If your personality, or let's put it some other way, unless you are really weak of mind, you don't need crutches inside your brain. Especially not the religious kind of crutches. I mean, some therapists are very good at giving you tools to work with yourself, to work with your problems. These therapists should, by all accounts, make billions of dollars a year, but they don't. But they deserve it. And if a human being can give you these kind of tools so you can make your own life better and your perception of yourself better and the perception of everybody else on this planet better, then you don't need God. Then God is moot. Religion is moot. If there's just one person on this planet, one human being on this planet that can live without God and live a good life without God, live a satisfying life without God, be a good person without God, then everybody on this planet are able to do exactly the same. Of this I'm pretty sure. Except for the sociopaths and the psychopaths, of course, but they're screwed. I'm talking about normal people. Normal people. I'm talking about people who actually have a little bit of empathy. And people who are not totally fucked in their head. It is my firm belief that we can live without religion. Perfectly okay. I think most atheists will probably agree with me. We don't need religion. I sometimes look upon the history of religion and the history of, for instance, Europe from around the year 1000 and about 500 to 600 years ahead of that. In those 500 or 600 years, religion worked to enslave people, not just physically but in their minds. In those 500 to 600 years, science stood almost totally still. Imagine where we would be if that hadn't been the case, if Christianity didn't have that hold on Europe for 5 centuries, maybe even 6 centuries, filling our heads with superstitious nonsense, damnation and hell and all kinds of bullcrap, when we could have been filling our heads for 500 years with knowledge, learning the scientific method 200 years before we did, learning about the atom 200 years before we did. Imagine where we would be today. Religion, as Meridian Frost puts it so eloquently, is the root of all evil. Of course, there are other things that are root of evil, but religion really takes the cake, in my opinion. You don't need religion. Nobody needs religion. You are brainwashed to believe it when you're a child, when you don't know any better, when your parents are telling you this bullcrap, which is all lies. Nobody needs religion. Peace and don't